Virtual reality is finally becoming a thing that consumers can actually use and experience for themselves, albeit a bit slower than we anticipated thanks to various problems getting hardware sets into the hands of consumers. But all eyes are pretty much on VR at the moment, as everyone is sort of eagerly awaiting to see what happens with this new hardware that could potentially take gaming in a new direction. Now naturally this has led to many comments and, shall we say, predictions from analysts and research firms and whatnot about what's going to happen sale-wise to VR. And now we've had some comments from the market research firm IDC, and they're expecting VR hardware as a whole to, quote, skyrocket in 2016. Now, of course, the main players in virtual reality at the moment are Samsung, HTC and Oculus, and of course Sony coming out later on this year. But IDC are expecting total volumes of VR hardware to reach 9.6 million units by the end of the year, or generating a pretty impressive $2.6 billion. Now, do keep in mind that VR is of course very much in its infancy, with many people not getting their headsets until July even if they pre-ordered. That's for Oculus of course. And of course many consumers not being able to get them at all because they're sold out, or they're too expensive, or they're waiting for the PlayStation VR to come out. That's a pretty impressive number. Now of course, the better virtual reality does, the more developers and publishers and all that are going to be willing to throw serious money behind it, because, well, at the moment developing a game only for virtual reality is a pretty big gamble, because the install base is small, especially when you compare it to console and of course standard PC. But this kind of rapid growth could have a snowball effect, with developers sitting up and taking notice, where going, oh, this is clearly really popular, it is clearly worth our investment, and of course the growth will be exponential. Got some comments here from Tom Manelli, who is a Vice President for Devices and Displays over at IDC, and he said, quote, in 2016 the first major VR tethered HMDs, which are head-mounted displays, from Oculus, HTC and Sony should drive combined shipments of over 2 million units. When you combine this with robust shipments of screenless viewers from Samsung and other vendors launching this year, you'd start to see the beginning of a reasonable installed base for content creators to target. Video games will clearly be the lead rationale for people to pick up in Oculus Rift, HTC Vive or PlayStation VR this year. And that comment about video games is from Lewis Ward, Research Director of Gaming at IDC, and he continued by saying, quote, while there have been some launch window hardware shipment hiccups that must be addressed near term, I'm confident they'll be ironed out before the holiday season. The addition of exciting new titles will lead to a new wave of VR HMD hardware interest among those buying for themselves or family members and friends. Basically, it's as I said, the TLDR is early hardware sales will prompt game developers to create interesting content, which in turn create more hardware sales. At least that's how IDC are predicting it, but it does make sense if their prediction of how much VR makes is true. They are also predicting that by the year 2020, VR hardware will have tallied 64.8 million shipments. On top of that, they are also saying that augmented reality hardware, such as the HoloLens, will be a force by then as well, adding another impressive 45.6 million units to this pile. So there you have it. According to IDC, virtual reality is going to be doing rather well for itself, and if things have been a bit rocky, especially for Oculus, with all their component shortages causing long wait times for people who even pre-ordered about 10 minutes after the pre-orders went live, the response to the devices by people who've actually had them seems to be really, really positive, and of course the more and more people try them, the more we hear that VR is amazing, and so on and so on. Now of course there's still a chance that it might stumble, the price point might be too much, this shortage might kind of kneecap things somewhat, but I think in the long term VR is looking at a big success. But of course this is all predictions and speculations, so do let me know your thoughts, I'd love to hear them. Thank you very much for watching, I'll see you next time.